Hello, Danielle Corliss. Hi, how's everybody doing? So, this is I scheduled this a long time ago, Tuesdays and Fridays. And if you're at all religious like me, I mean, this is for the Jewish people. They're in the middle of Passover, and for us Christians and Catholics and all that, we're in the middle of this is Good Friday. Right now, this very, very moment. So I've always thought that the God has given me this ability to share what's going on in the housing market. And I really feel like it's His report, and it's been really fun to put together and to share with everybody. So just wanted everybody to know that I know that this is a unusual time to be doing this, but when I'm done with this, I will be celebrating the Easter weekend with my family. So won't be on top of Facebook like crazy. I want to answer as many questions as I possibly can here. And other than that, I just want everybody to have a wonderful, beautiful Easter weekend. But let's start with the Housing Debrief, episode 8. I can't believe we've already done 8 of these. So I thought this was interesting. The churches might be empty on Easter, but so is the grave. So I thought that's pretty fantastic. I wanted to share that. And I'm not trying to be over religious or anything like that. I have a very strong spirituality, but it's just something that I wanted to share given the circumstances that we're doing this right here at 3 o'clock on Good Friday. So my background, just to make sure that your clients, everybody knows what I do. I'm a quantitative economics and decision sciences major at UC San Diego. 29 years in the business, Orange County native, Capital Valley High School grad, 9 kids, avid runner, and my kids, they're running like crazy. Ooh, I've got to show you guys. I've got to share with you the medal that Mia's going to get for running a virtual race tomorrow. Anyways, Mia is the one that's right here, and we have this bonus guy. I adopted her, she adopted mine. We're a Brady Bunch family. So I took this morning. I had 3 out of the 5 that are in the underneath of the roof of this house. The other 4 are off. Either one's at Washington State University, and we have another one that is off on her own. She's just about to turn 24, and then we have a couple others that are working for my father-in-law's pizza place and live on their own. One of them actually lives with my father-in-law right now and mother-in-law. So, anyways, this was today. What a beautiful blessing. He was stomping around in his rain boots and it started to rain again. And this is, I've been feeding my stuff to the Orange County Register for years, and subsequently now it has branched off just by utilizing Orange County Register and us working together. Everybody else kind of like borrowed and got ideas from the articles that they wrote over there at the Register. So I have a housing reports on housing. There's a different housing report for all of the Southern California counties. It's $15 a month or $150 per year, and it's all about forward thinking. It is like looking out of the windshield right now and letting you know exactly what's going on today. I could hardly care about closed sales data right now. They just released February about a week and a half ago. I don't care about February closed sales. That's December and January pending sales. I care about what's going on right now today. Active listing inventory in the form of supply and demand. The last 30 days worth of pending activity gives me a real good velocity, and especially this week today, I was able to take a look at where everything is at in all 5 counties, and boy, I'm telling you, it's very eye-opening, and it kind of gives you a flavor of where we're going to be going for the rest of, until we get to the other side of this COVID-19 pandemic. So the last report that just came out was called the Showdown. This was for San Diego, LA, Riverside. We're in the process, LA, San Diego, and Orange County. We're in the process of putting together Riverside and San Bernardino. We crunched the numbers from yesterday and are putting together the reports and all that stuff over the weekend, and we'll get that out to everybody Monday evening. You go to reportsonhousing.com, you hit subscribe, and you get a month free if you sign up today. Coupon code is Good Friday. And you can get lots of different samples of the different reports and a lot of questions about what you can do with the report and what you can't, and the FAQ and sample reports. And I have a sponsor. It's the Decontaminate Home. That's the name of the company. Decontaminatehome.com is where you can go. And they have coronavirus sanitation service. They have hospital grade disinfectant that kills 99.99% of viruses and bacteria, and it destroys airborne pathogens. They have developed this company to help out you guys. They've had it around for a while, but it really helps out if you've got a seller that's really wary of people coming in their house. You can have the person that is probably writing that solid offer come in and take a look at it, and then contract their services afterwards. They also have EPA registered products as well. So it starts at $395 and depends upon the size of the home as well. I wanted to start off with some spring fun photos before we get into everything else, and this is important to me. I like especially when the stats and data they don't look as favorable as they have in the past, and we're going through everything right now. I like to laugh. I like to have a little bit of fun, and my wife sends me lots of fun photos as well, and we do that throughout the day, and we're in the same house. But it's all about sharing and making each other laugh. And this is the lockdown is finally over. I'm off to the hairdresser. I thought that was kind of cute. And gonna ask my mom if that offer to slap me into the next year still is on the table. How about this one? Can we all agree for the next apocalypse that hairstylists can be an essential service? Hey, Lewis, I'm talking to you. He's the guy that does my hair, and boy, oh boy, I'm telling you, I'm right at the cusp where I'm gonna have to ask TJ to do something, or I'm gonna wear a hat. Maybe that's what we'll do. And when your hair salon is closed, but you know what? Your dog groomer has a cancellation. I thought this was pretty funny. So there they are, kids in the rain. But now let's get into the coronavirus and where we're at right now. And the facts. This is comparing Tuesday's numbers to right now today. 1.687 million cases is up 20% since last Tuesday. 376,000 have recovered. That's up 25% since Tuesday. So recoveries is actually increasing at a faster rate than total cases. 102,000 deaths, that's up 26% since Tuesday. And then we have 496,000 cases in the United States. That's up 28% since last Tuesday. And then we have 18,360 US deaths. That's up 50%. And 325 million US citizens. I just want to put that into context for everybody. I have a great slide for that too. 20,435 cases in California. We eclipsed 20,000. And we have had 2.384 million tests so far. That's up 22% since Tuesday. And I wanted to go over this slide. This is also from Statista. I just love going to the site to see various ways of taking a look at some of the data. And this is very interesting. You don't get a lot of people that are focusing on this, but this is a story to be told. And the reason I bring this up is because everybody thinks that the United States is the absolute worst as far as the world's concerned. We have the most cases. As a matter of fact, New York City has more cases than any other country. So, interesting though, if you take a look at this, Spain, this is the cases per million inhabitants. Spain is actually the worst. They're worse off than Italy. Then it goes Switzerland, Italy, Belgium, France, Austria, Germany, and then the United States. And you can see that because we're so big, the numbers look so large, but we have a very gigantic society. China's not on this list because they're absolutely humongous, and their number of cases per million, it's just way down off the chart. So coronavirus, the facts: Southern California cases, almost 8,000 in LA, that's up 25%. We breached 1,000 in OC, that's up 22%. There are 1,628 cases in San Diego, up 16%, and 1,280 in Riverside, that's up 35%, and then we have 729 in San Bernardino, that's up 38%. They're growing a little bit faster in the Inland Empire, and that's because, like I've said before, they were a little bit late to the number of viruses coming on board. And then coronavirus and the economy, we've talked about this. This is thanks to Logan Motoshami. We're looking at scale and duration, and we already know we have the scale. But now, more importantly, duration. What does duration look like? And I take this from the European Center for Disease Control, and it's kind of like our CDC, but if you look at this, we've plateaued over here. And Jim Cramer from Squawk Box on CNBC actually said, I don't like plateaus. Well, I like plateaus, And the reason why I like plateaus is because, and these are a number of new cases each day, is because we finally got to a point where we're no longer parabolically going up. Instead, we've flattened out, and hopefully we're at this plateau, we start to come down. And that's the hope for the world, and and that's also going to happen in the United States. I'll get into that in a second. And in California, got this chart. If you actually say California new coronavirus cases, this is Google has lots and lots of landing pages that automatically come up, and stuff pops up at the top. And if you look at this in California, you can see we had that spike up, but then because we've had this order for so long, we've hit we've hit that plateau, and we'll be coming down off of this as well. They believe that University of Washington that in the next week we'll peak, and then we'll start coming down as far as hospital beds and intensive care units and respirators. In the United States, you could see we've kind of hit that same mark where, yeah, we're hitting 30,000 new cases, but it kept on going up and up and up and up and up and up, 20, 25, 30, and then it's kind of like seesawed around 30,000, which is a good thing that we've hit where it's a plateau. Now we want to see that we start coming down, kind of like South Korea. But we've done a really good job of hunkering down and closing off society. We don't want to stop now. We want to continue to do what we're doing and be even smarter about it going forward. Because going forward it's going to look a little bit different. I showed these slides on Tuesday, but I think they're worth repeating, and I'm going to bring up another one. Italy has been coming down as far as terms of deaths and new cases. Spain, same thing. They finally are coming down in terms of cases and deaths. And in this new one, this is France. France looked like they were going to go way off the chart, but they're starting to come down as well. You're going to see this seesaw, but what we're going to see is it's plateauing and then come down eventually. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And we've shown that with China, we've shown that with South Korea, and this is China. This is China before the virus, this is BC, before coronavirus, and then this is during the coronavirus, it's AD, after the disease. And then when we get back to the point where America's back, this is what it looks like. This is what China is back to. You can see most everybody has masks on, and this will be one of those things where it's a new normal, where until we have a vaccine, we're going to be doing things differently coming out on the other side of this thing. And if you see this is actually one of the national landmark in China, and you could see almost every single person, I believe, minus one. I did find one in this. It's like, where's Waldo? There's one guy that, of course, doesn't have a mask because he doesn't think he needs one. Everybody needs a mask, and they're all wearing masks right now. And so this is the new normal, but they're out and about. And Wuhan, after a 76-day lockdown, this week actually opened up their society again. So and you can see there's a change. I don't have all the stats yet and data, but I've seen some reports on it that their economy is starting to rev up, and so is their real estate market. And then PricewaterhouseCoopers surveyed 50 leaders from a cross-section of industries, and they said, once we get to the other side of this, how long would it take for you to come back online? And 66% said less than a month, and 90% said 1 to 3 months. So this is a good slide to watch. And this is from keepingcurrentmatters.com. Go there, go to their blog section and sign up for it. It's free. It'll send it to you every single day. And we need to be sharing these type of stats and data and things that help us understand how we're going to go after America is on their way back. And then I wanted to bring up to everybody's attention California Association of Realtors. They've been really busy. They've been updating their frequently asked questions. They have best practices that they've updated. They also have a couple forms for listings and sellers and buyers. And there's also forms for landlords to use with their renters. And we need to use this. We need to open up the dialogue with our renters. People are saying, Stephen, what's going to happen with with all the landlords and the renters, I hope they're having a dialogue, find out exactly where they're at, if they're impacted by this, what they can do payment-wise, and how far we have to go with this. But we need to open up that dialogue so that the landlords aren't taking it in the in the shorts as well. We need to help out everybody, but the only way to do that is by opening up a real good dialogue. And the macroeconomic outlook, we have BC. I put it all in one chart. Negative, positive stuff, everything looked good prior to the coronavirus. And AD, everything looks absolutely disastrous, of course, because we had a forced stop of the entire economy and we have unemployment. So I'm going to bring up one chart per week. And this is the chart that we've got to continue to watch, and this is weekly initial unemployment claims. And you could see we started out with over 3, then we got up to nearly 7, and now we're at like 6.8, 6.7, somewhere around there. And if you look at that, if you look at the totals there, you're looking at quite a few people that are unemployed right now, around 17 million people. And these numbers will, I think what we're going to start to see, because it's such a shock that we're starting to digest it, that these should start to come down, but there will be a lot of people that are unemployed. And something to keep in mind, because it relates to housing, is the biggest segment that is affected by unemployment is the people that are the low income bracket. There's low, middle, and high. The low income bracket is 80% of all of the unemployment so far. So that's something to keep in mind. So there will be an effect overall to all of society, but you have to understand that's why we got to work with our renters to figure out what's going on, because in the housing market is a little bit buoyed from this slightly, and that's because there are higher bred earners, and not every industry has been affected by this. I mean, every industry has been affected by this, but I'm talking about not everybody is unemployed from this. And I want to call it a pandemic. I'm going to continue to call it a pandemic. I'm going to bring this up over and over again, because that is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a forced pandemic recession. We did it. The whole world is doing it. And I heard an interesting fact that India, for the first time, can see the, what is it? They can see the mountains off in the distance that they haven't seen in decades. And I think I was telling my son, who is directing this right now, my little Mason, he's over there, but I was telling him that's one of the positives of this is, you know what, people aren't polluting the earth like we used to, and that's kind of a good thing. We'll have to see what that does this year to melting caps and things like that. So maybe it'll teach us all a great lesson. Uncharted waters, that's where we are right now, and we need to understand that. And I have said it before, but DC and the Federal Reserve, they're going to throw everything they possibly can at it. And we are the United States. We will figure this out, and we will be back on the other side of this, and we'll make this work as best as possible. Himalayas. Yes, it was the Himalayas. Thank you, somebody said. The Himalayas, they could see for the first time in decades. I thought that was a pretty gosh darn wonderful thing that's come out of this. That's some good news, right? And I want to go over this again. The mortgage market is broken. If you look under the hood, everything looks fine when you contact your mortgage professional, but once you start getting to the nitty-gritty and they start telling you how it's not working very well, that's because underneath of the hood, in the engine, the parts, they're all gummed up and they're not working properly. And I've said it, we've got to give a lot of love to our mortgage brokers and lenders out there, because we really need the Fed to step in. They need to open a couple other financial windows that they'll close on the other side of this, and one of those being for servicers, and there's other things that I've been listening to, and I'm not going to bore you with all the background information. Just understand that it's not working right now the way it should be working, and that's because of all the risk that's there and forbearance, and the forbearance thing wasn't very well thought out, because everybody can do forbearance regardless of whether or not they have a need and whether or not they're unemployed or not. So that's something that they need to change, and I don't recommend going to forbearance at all if you are gainfully employed and are making a wage, or if you have money socked away in the bank. And jumbos, you have to understand, you really need to qualify for this stuff. There aren't as many people doing it. Mortgage brokers are having a harder time finding different lenders that are doing jumbos. The pool of their possibilities has dwindled, and in some cases you have to go directly to banks in order to get jumbo loans. So give your mortgage guys a call, and they'll be able to steer you in the right direction as well. And the 10-year Treasury means our interest rates should be in the twos. They're not even close to the twos. They're seesawing around in the 3.25% to 3.5% to 3.75%, and it just depends. It can really change by having the slightest variation in being really qualified. If you have a credit score in the 8s and you're doing a conventional loan of like $500,000, and you're good with a sizable 20% down payment. I mean, anybody's going to take that, but that's not the way that everybody fits into that tiny little package. And mortgage rates have been. This is as of yesterday. This is Freddie Mac, and it's been flat, and they're still at that 3.33% 30-year fixed. Understand, that's where it's going to probably stay until they get it fixed, and that's the back engine. And once they do that, we could see interest rates floating down a little bit, but they've got to be really careful because they can't have the entire United States refinanced. So they're going to put some constraints in refinancing, and they're going to focus on purchases. And then, like I said, everything's got to fit in that perfect package. And if it doesn't fit in the perfect package, it's not your mortgage broker, it's not your lender that is causing this. It's the system that's broken. They're looking for conforming. They're looking for good debt, low debt to income ratios. They're looking for higher credit scores than they were before. 680, 685 is now the floor. And but now let's talk about the Southern California market, because I just crunched the numbers. They're rather exciting, and I do want to share them. And it is really coming. This is a classic showdown. It's a really big, great, cable TV event where you had to purchase the package to watch the boxing match, and that is this big force of this low supply, and it's now meeting this big force of very low demand, and they're rocking right now. So that's the biggest difference from now to everybody comparing it to the Great Recession. I'm getting a little tired of everybody talking about the housing market that's absolutely going to implode, and they think that I'm just blowing sunshine and rainbows out there, but I'm here to tell you I'm absolutely not. And that's because of the fundamental difference between now and where we were in 2006, 7, and 8. And I have a slide for that I need to include. This is a mental note to myself for Tuesday's broadcast, so you can actually physically see the difference of where it's at. And I mention it in the report. If you go and subscribe, I'll send you the last one of where, if you are in any of the counties in San Bernardino, Riverside, you'll be coming up this week. This coming up week, it tells you where we were in 2007 in terms of inventory. Way different than where we are today, because where we are today it's a supply problem, and it's versus a COVID-19 demand problem. And this is entirely a COVID-19 demand problem. It has nothing to do with interest rates, it has nothing to do with homes being, the housing market being a bubble, it has nothing to do with anything like that. So, if you look at it, this is the active listing inventory and where it's at, and I just crunched it. Like I said, we just saw it. So last Thursday we were talking about 29,148. We were up 1%, or 332 homes in 2 weeks. Last year we were at 41,479, so it's 42% more than where we are today. See, that's the difference between the orange and the blue line. And hey, how are you doing, Zeke? You can hear him in the background. Hey, Dad. So yesterday we were at 29,733. That is up 2% compared to where we were just last week. We added an additional almost 600 homes. So we are starting to go up a little bit higher of a rate, because that was only 1 week. And that in this other one, 332, that was in 2 weeks. So we're going up a little bit higher, and that is because real estate is now an essential service. So we're seeing some more active listings come online, because we're in the middle of our spring market. Do you hear that? That's Zeke off in the background. So you can tell this is live, this is unedited, this is the real thing. So why hasn't inventory spiked? With demand being so low, and we normally have the same number of homes coming on the market all the time, we should have got this parabolic spike in inventory. Why hasn't it spiked? Why isn't there a wave? Well, the reason there's not a wave of homes that are coming on the market and staying on the market is because homeowners just are not entering the fray like they did before. Like 30% less than where they were than where they were for the last 5 years of Marches. That's a lot fewer homeowners coming on the market compared to, and keep in mind that first week of March was still a pretty good week. So that's way down in terms of number of homeowners coming on the market, and I imagine April is going to be even less. And looking back on it. And another thing is a lot of homeowners are placing their homes on hold. And then I have this other thing where people are saying there's going to be a wave, all of them are going to come on the market. Really, all of them are going to come on the market at the same time. I just don't foresee that. I don't see that as a problem. I actually see it that more and more people place their home back on the market at the same time that we're going to see demand start to come up. And everybody will be watching that because they'll be feeling better about where we are. And when we're feeling better about where we are and we start placing our homes on the market, that's at the same point where we're going to have people entering the market and putting together offers on properties. Oh my gosh. So, sorry about that. Another phone call in the middle of this time it's not my kids. I talked to both my kids that called and FaceTimed me last time. So anyways, there's just not going to be a wave down the road either of new homes that are entering the market. Usually when your head goes to that worst case scenario, it typically does not happen. And that's what I've realized with data especially. And if you look at demand in Southern California, this is COVID-19 suppressed demand. This is what happens to COVID-19 suppressed demand. We were having our best year in many years in all of Southern California. Absolutely phenomenal. And in some counties, the best since like 2012. So that's how strong our market was. I actually thought it was too strong. I was rooting for it to slow down a little bit because I didn't want to see mass appreciation. I like nice appreciation of 2 to 3%, and everybody's happy and we can sustain that. So last Thursday, we were at 11,135 pending sales for a 2-week period of time. And last year we were at 16,388. That was 47% more than we are just last week. So you could see a lot more demand last year. And that's that orange line compared to the blue line. And then yesterday we were at 9,482. That is 15% down from where we were last Thursday. So yes, we went down. But the reason I bring this up, and I want you to understand, it's not going to continue to dive. The reason it's not going to dive is because now we're finally at that point where we have 4 weeks of lockdown. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the last 4 weeks. So it's comparing right now to 4 weeks ago where that number looked really good. And then after that, we had that everybody was going to be locked down type of thing. That's what happened that night. That's when my kids, officially 4 weeks as of today, that we got notice that they're not going back to school. So that is when our lockdown began. So we have 4 weeks comparison, and that's where we get this demand that has come from where its height all the way over there to where it's at right now. And it's gone down a little bit further because it's crossed underneath that 10,000 threshold line. So the expected market time, looking at it year over year, it's definitely slowed. Absolutely. SoCal last Thursday was at a 79-day expected market time. SoCal last year was at a 76-day expected market time. So we're slower than we were last year. That's the orange line versus the blue line. And SoCal yesterday is at 94 days. Welcome to a balanced market. It is no longer a seller's market. And that's for all of Southern California. But I'm going to drill this down to the county, different county levels right now for you, just so you see what it is. And Los Angeles is at a 90-day expected market time. They were at 75 just last week. That's in a week. So you can see everything's slowed down quite a bit. We are now at a balanced market in LA. And Orange County is at 101, balanced market versus 80. And remember, this is taking in a full 4 weeks of us being locked down. So this is where what suppressed demand looks like. And that's why we finally got inventory that's flat and we've got demand down to the numbers where it makes sense. Matter of fact, I took the last 2 weeks and doubled it, and it's very close to where we are today. So that's the last 2 weeks of demand pending sales. And then when I double that kind of gives me a month's worth, and it's very similar to what we were for the last 4 weeks. Riverside County is at 114 days, and it was at 96 last week. So you could see Riverside County is actually probably the slowest. One of the biggest reasons is because they have Palm Springs and Palm Desert area, and those are secondary home markets. And some people say we have secondary home markets here along the coast, but I will tell you, those secondary home buyers are actually taking away product from regular buyers. It's real secondary markets are like Big Bear and like Aspen, Colorado, or you got Palm Springs, Palm Desert, La Quinta, all that good stuff. San Bernardino County is at 92 days. They were at 80 days just last week, so they too are balanced. And the only one, and San Diego's always the hottest. They're last to the party because they're still partying as if it was a month ago, but not really. They've slowed down. They were at 66 days, which they had just left a hot seller's market to a slight seller's market. Now they're at 79 days, and I imagine by the time we get to next week, they too will have joined the balanced market parade, and they will be balanced. There are some areas, I did a report for Chula Vista, and Chula Vista, even as of yesterday, was pretty hot. So we will continue to look at that. We'll look at the numbers for San Diego because they have always been hotter. They've always gone into slowdowns first, and they've always come out last. But this time around, they're doing a lot hotter than everybody else. And so we're at balanced market. That's pretty much where we're at. And this is where balanced market is. But I wanted to point out, this is where we're going, that we're going to go flat. And the the projected expected market time, I did this Tuesday, but I want to hammer this home because I told you where we were demand-wise. Let's go back just a few slides. I'm going to go back real fast, and we were at, let's see, I'm so sorry, but I need to do that. Well, we were at 94 days. So that's where we are right now as of yesterday. So anyway, so keep that in mind, 94 days. I think that we could grow all the way to 120 days, and that's what I'm going to say. We're going to go up here, this expected market time, and then it's going to be flat in balanced land. It's actually going to probably look more like a curve that looks like that, and then we're going to stay up there. And then we're going to stay in balance until after we get to the other side of this, and then we should be coming down. But the projected expected market time for all of Southern California might have hit balance right now. The upper end of that is 120 days. So this is worst case scenario. And that's if we get to 30,000 listings, which would be up. We project demand at as low as 7,500, which would be way down to where we're at today. We're at over 9,000. So we'd go down even further. So understand that would be a drop. But this red line, I want to point it out, that above this is a buyer's market. It is not a deep buyer's market where we give up value until we get above this red line of that's 150-day expected market time. It looks like we're zooming our way towards that, but it's not, because what we'll start to see is we're going to see this shift where we stay in this balance category and then we're going to come down. We're not going to get up there, and I will prove it over the course of the next few weeks. You'll see this diminish, slow down, and then it will plateau, kind of like the COVID-19 virus, and then as we get to the other side, we'll watch this start to come down. So it all has to do with supply and demand, and that's what I look at. I look at it constantly. I'm an economic junkie. I just absolutely love it. And low mortgage rates is going to pull us out of this. And people are telling me, and I know this one's running a little bit long, but I had a lot to say. Won't there be a wave of distress? So I don't really feel that there's going to be a wave. We're coming off of a bottom where delinquencies were down to a 25-year low. Understand that. So at a 25-year low, there's going to be reports that it's going up. So at a 25-year low, I'm talking like in Orange County 50, or San Diego County 50, or in LA County 90 or 100. And then instead, it's going to go from 50 to 100, and from 100 to 200. So will there be more distressed? Yes. Will it be a wave? Absolutely nothing like it at all. These won't even be numbers that will even touch close to what we had in the Great Recession. And the reason for that is because the housing foundation is extremely strong. The pillars of support are extremely strong. This is not like flabby Great Recession, which was nothing more than a house of cards. That's what we had prior to the Great Recession. We had subprime, and we had pick a payment plans and junk, and that they would package these in tranches and sell them around the world, and the whole world had a financial disaster. That's not what's happening at all right now. We have qualified purchasers. We've had large down payments and cash in the system, and we have a ton of equity, a lot of equity, not false equity, really good, solid, strong equity in the market. So there is room, even if you were to come down, and I don't even believe we're going to come down, and if we do, it would be to the tune of like 2%. Not anything like what anybody has said where it's larger. I've heard some people go, you know what, I wrote up an offer and I wrote it up for, because of the circumstances, $5,000 less than the all-time height, which was achieved a couple months ago. That's not a giant drop, and 5% in for like a $500,000 property is not much. So understand that. It's not 50 grand, it's 5 grand. So that's the kind of drop that we can get just over the course of the next 4 weeks, and after that, when we start to see light at the end of the tunnel, that's just not going to happen. And people say, look at this Great Recession. Can we compare it to the Great Recession? 2 of the last 5 recessions affected housing and values. 2 of the 5. Savings and loan scandal in 1991 and the subprime meltdown, stupid loans, fraudulent everything. Watch The Big Short. That's what you could do in your downtime, and understand that this is what caused the Great Recession and this giant drop, because it was ugly. So these are the 2 where we gave back, and they were led by housing and poor lending in housing. 1991 and in 2008. We don't have that this time around. I just talked about that in the last slide. So I like to talk about, I did this and I just came up with this when I was talking to people. This is 3 Little Pigs. Everybody knows the story of the 3 Little Pigs. So the 3 Little Pigs are, I'm here to point out the sticks. That thing was the worst, right? The sticks, the big bad wolf blew it down. That was 2008. Prior to the Great Recession. That's the kind of mortgage market that we had, and it was just a house of cards, a house of sticks that was ready to be blown down. And then we had the house, the first one was hay, I'm sorry. So that's the house of hay. And the house of hay, it's not going to do very well with any kind of wind. Then we had sticks. That pig thought he had it down, and it got blown down as well. This is the savings and loan scandal. This is the savings and loan of the early 90s, and that was easily blown down as well, and values went down. Now, this is where we're at today. We have a housing, our housing is absolutely made out of bricks, and the big bad wolf can't blow it down. And that's kind of the big bad wolf. This is the COVID-19 big bad wolf. He's having a very hard time blowing this thing down, and that's because active inventory is so low. And then on top of that, we do have low demand. That's the wolf. But he's not able to blow it down because the active inventory is so low. We were, and I'll do this on next Tuesday, but we had way more homes on the market back then. And I can illustrate it all day long what a big difference it is compared to today. And then we have, I promised Riverside and San Bernardino, so I have to do this really quick. Luxury of Riverside County is 650,000 plus. That's not even the top 10%, it's even less than that. But Riverside County, 650,000 plus. This is like Palm Springs, Palm Desert. A lot of that stuff is 650,000 plus. And luxury listings are at 1,714. It's down 6% in 4 weeks. And then we have luxury demand is at 136. That's down 59% in the last 4 weeks. The expected market time for Riverside County is at 378 for luxury. It was at 166 just 4 weeks ago. What a difference 4 weeks makes. And then San Bernardino County, we're at, that's also 650,000 plus. Luxury listings are at 680, they're 680, that is 5%, down 5% in 4 weeks. And then we have luxury demands at 89, that's down 48% in 4 weeks. And the expected market time has moved from 125 4 weeks ago to 229 days. And I did this for Orange County, LA, and San Diego last Friday, so you could take a look at that if you want to. I'll be updating those probably for Tuesdays, and going forward I can even do that for all 5 counties when I have the extra time, but I've been doing a lot of Zoom, so sometimes I think I have more time than I really do. So go to reportsonhousing.com and you click on subscribe and you get a month free, and there's frequently asked questions and lots of sample reports. And we're sponsored by Decontaminate Home. decontaminatehome.com is where you can go, and they're fully able to help out your clients that are in need of decontaminating their homes to make sure that they're safe in going back in. And that's all I have. I would love to do more Q&A. However, it is Good Friday and it is Easter weekend, so I'm sure that you guys have had comments. I'm going to have to look at them at another time because I have this kid in a robe over here that is my director. This is how we do it. This is Mason Thomas. He is my director today, and this is the second time where he actually listened to me for a long time. So thank you very much. Happy Easter, and just have a beautiful weekend. Stay safe and be healthy, and we'll see you on the other side of the weekend. Thanks much.